Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Frivolous Writer, where you can join me on this journey of me writing my very first novel. So thank you to those of you who watched my last episode, which I'll put up top here, where I read the rough draft of Chapter 9, or what I'm currently calling Chapter 9, because what I told you all on that episode is that I'm not actually writing linearly. I'm writing as I'm feeling inspired. And so with that chapter, I actually wrote two different chapters and then I kind of put them together because I was thinking about just I'm not plotting. I am very loosely plotting, but I'm really a pantser and I'm writing as the story is being told to me. And this is a concept that I've been talking about for a while now here on this channel, and how the journey or the adventure of writing a novel is actually what's driving me and making me really excited to keep writing. And earlier this week, my partner was listening to an episode of the Telepathy Tapes. And I don't know if any of you have watched the Telepathy Tapes yet, but holy smokes, it's crazy. So it's now on a season 2. It's a podcast that started around non-speaking or non-verbal autistic children who had the ability to communicate telepathically with each other and with their primary caregiver, typically their mother. But they also have interviewed teachers who have experienced the same thing. And in this season, they're actually exploring different levels of telepathy and different ways that people communicate telepathically. But on this latest episode, they were actually able to interview Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the writer of a very famous book and later turned into a movie called Eat, Pray, Love, starring Julia Roberts. Really great movie, very feel good about chasing your purpose, which is kind of what we're on in this journey, or what I'm personally going through in this journey, and why I wanted to start this channel, to create a space for everyone or anyone who felt this same kind of pull to chase after something that's going to give them fulfillment. And really crazy coincidence. I do believe in coincidences. I'm actually kind of getting chills right now. That's wild. But I do believe in coincidences, and I do believe that things happen for a reason. So as I was listening, she brought up something really interesting around creativity and capturing inspiration. So I wanted to talk about that today on the channel. I wanted to bring this thought, this idea out to all of you to see what your thoughts are on this. But what I wanted to talk about is not just the inspiration, but also the drive, the dedication that it takes to be able to write and finish a novel. And I was talking with one of my friends just on Wednesday. Today's Thursday when I'm recording this, but it'll be tomorrow. So it was on Wednesday. We went for coffee, and I know she watches this channel as well. She kind of stumbled. I didn't tell her I created this channel. You know who you are. But she is watching this channel. She stumbled across it on her own because we didn't actually know that we were on this similar journey of trying to write our first novel, which is awesome and amazing, and just another coincidence and another signal from whatever, the universe, God, angels, I don't know, to just say like, hey, this is the path. And so what I wanted to talk about today is inspiration, being that spark, but it's not all it takes. It takes more than just inspiration in order to actually continue down this journey. But I wanted to also talk about the engine of momentum, as well as the discipline that's required for this to be able to be completed, and letting the ideas pass through you, and then just making sure you keep that door open. So all themes of things that I've talked about on this channel already, but just how wild it was that this all kind of happened within a week when I was feeling really low and kind of like, oh my God, should I keep going? Like, is this something that needs to keep going? So with that, before I jump into it, I want to say a big thank you to all of those of you who have been following this channel, who have been liking and subscribing. I would invite anybody who, if this is your first time, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can catch these videos, because I really am exploring what it's like to write your first novel. So if you had your algorithm on YouTube bring this video to you, it's because you're probably also exploring that same concept of either finding your purpose, or maybe you're trying to find inspiration, or maybe even you have been trying and failing at getting the motivation or the dedication or determination to complete your first novel. So this is a space for all of us to come together. The purpose of this channel was for us to create a safe space where we can talk about writing, talk about the journey, the adventure, the inspiration of writing, and what it means to us. And then also, hopefully you can learn what, through my failures, about what works and didn't work for me while I was on this journey of writing my first novel. So with that, I want to start with reading you the quote from Elizabeth Gilbert that she said on this podcast. So she said, "I think we both know people in our lives who are incredibly talented and probably do some channeling of their own, where they have these brilliant ideas. But if you don't have the engine behind it, if you don't have the inertia that you keep creating to push you forward, you know, it will sort of disappear back into the ether." So I found that, like, when I listened to that, it was exactly what I needed to hear. Because I know I've been sharing, I've been struggling to write. I'm pushing myself to write every day, but sometimes I sit down and nothing comes. Sometimes I sit down and I write a few words and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then that self-doubt, that voice that shows up in my head while I'm trying to create, that tells me to just stop. You don't need to do this. What's the point of doing this? You're not probably going to make any money from this. You should be refocusing your energy on something that's actually going to bring you some kind of compensation, which isn't untrue. I probably could be spending more time looking at ways to make money, rather than spending time on this creative endeavor and fulfilling that drive, that thing that's been burning inside me for a while. So just like what she said, like, it's not just the inspiration, but it's actually sitting down every day, creating an environment, creating a space where you can invite in that muse. And so inspiration, like I've talked about this before. I think about those times when I've seen movies or I've seen depictions of writers and they get this, like, they're struck with inspiration and it's so romantic. And then all of a sudden they produce this incredibly complete, fully realized story that has no issues, plot holes, errors. It's grammatically correct. The story is start to finish perfect. But that's just not true. That's just really not true, because what it actually takes to write a novel is exactly what I'm telling you. It's a lot of starting and stopping. It's like a sprint and then a rest. And overall, it's a marathon. You're just going. You have to keep pushing yourself. And what she explores in this podcast, and what the Kai Dickens, the creator of the Telepathy Tapes podcast, and this writer and then another writer talk about, is the importance of creating a space every single day where you sit down to write. And I don't remember if it was Elizabeth Gilbert or the other writer, who I can't remember off the top of my head right now, talking about this, where she said, when I write, I sit down to write, and my goal is to actually sit for 60 minutes. It's not to write a certain number of words. And I have to sit with the intention of writing for at least 60 minutes. You have to do that. And she said she also sits at a computer, so she writes on a computer, but she can't go on the internet. She can't do anything other than focus on writing. Whether she writes or not is irrelevant. Because that really is what will build that routine of writing, of allowing you to invite in that creative inspiration. because inspiration is fleeting. Think about the times that you've had these ideas for these stories. For me, it's usually when I'm sleeping. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh my God, that would be a great idea for a story. And then if I don't write it down, at least the thought or the idea of that inspiration that struck me in my sleep, right in that moment, and I go back to sleep, and then the next morning I'm like, oh, I had such a good idea. And then my partner would be like, well, what was it? And I don't remember, because inspiration is so fleeting. The other time that I get some inspiration is usually when I'm meditating, or my husband and I go for walks. And so sometimes when we're walking and we're talking, I have these thoughts that are just starting to run through my head about different characters, or maybe in this story, because it's in my mind all the time, about Conrad, Maya, and Eli, and now Jay. You all met Jay on Tuesday. And actually Jay, the idea for Jay came to me when my partner and I were walking, and he was talking to me, and he was being so commanding and confident. And we were just having this really good conversation about the future and what the future could be. And he was so confident. And that was the inspiration for Jay. And that's because on that walk, I started thinking, and I started hearing this character talk to me, which was amazing. And who this person was kind of came to me. So those are the three places that I usually get inspiration. But if I didn't act on those right away, then I never would have been able to realize Jay as a character, or even this story, because the story has been knocking on my door for a while, but it's been knocking in a different way. So this story has evolved. I've shared this earlier in different episodes, but it's evolved from what my initial thought was this story, about this story, or what this story was going to be, to now, as I started writing it, it's becoming something different, which is amazing. But the concept of inertia, or the importance of building creative inertia. So what I mean by that is you have to show up the same way every single day, even when you don't feel inspired, even when you don't know what to say, even when the words aren't coming to you. I've been sharing this, that I've been kind of up and down. And I'm going to share something real personal that I haven't actually talked about on the channel yet, other than my anxiety and depression that I struggle with and have throughout my life. For some reason, the last couple weeks, I've been showing up, but nothing's been coming. And it's been really, really demotivating. And so when I went for coffee with my friend on Wednesday, I started talking about this with her, and just how it's been hard. And I've been thinking a lot about giving up. And I don't even think she realizes, but her talking about her journey and the things that she's working on and some of her insecurities, to me, actually, this morning when I woke up, I sat down to write again, and I wrote a whole chapter. It just came. All of a sudden, the inspiration came. And that discipline that I've been trying to cultivate over the last few months of writing daily is now I'm starting to realize that now that's when these things pay off. So, it's been just a heavy time, because it's not just been a lack of inspiration. It's been a lack of motivation, a lack of a lack of discipline and drive, and nothing has really felt exciting for me for the last few weeks. And so I'm recording these videos, I'm rereading the chapters I've written. That has been the motivating piece. And then also, because I'm recording these videos twice a week, it's keeping me accountable. But also it's making me anxious, because I'm like, oh, I haven't been writing, and I'm coming up to the chapter's endings, where I don't have any new chapters to read. And my goal was to try and finish before November so that I could start a new writing endeavor for NaNoWriMo, which I know that's controversial. I know it's not the same, but the idea of the writing sprint is still inspiring for me, and trying to just not think about what I'm writing, but just write it is what I'm going to try and achieve during November. So then I can write for 30 days, 50,000 words. But it's been the accountability piece of making these videos has been really driving me to continue. And it's kept that discipline. So then when I did finally sit down this morning to write, words were coming, and I was able to shut that voice up for the first time in a couple of weeks, where I wrote more than just one word, or not one word, but one sentence. And I did more than just journal, because it's important. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that concept of channeling. And it's just so interesting when you're in that flow state, when you're like dialed in. I think Abraham Hicks calls it tuned in, turned on, or tuned in, tapped in, turned on. But you're just like in that flow state, and everything's just coming. I'm not even aware of the words I'm writing. And it's interesting because for chapter 9 that I read last Tuesday, as I was reading it, I don't know if you noticed, but I was pausing a lot because I don't remember writing some of these things, and I don't remember them fitting in the way that I wrote them. And so it was really interesting. It was a very strange sensation to be like, it's my handwriting right here on this page, but I don't remember writing these words. Like that, to me, is channeling. So it's just that idea that these thoughts, these words are coming through me, not from me. So, and I do believe that inspiration, it's a life of its own. It's an entity of its own. And our job as creators is to just allow that to work through us, to stay open, stay available, stay in that rigidity of routine. Even though I hate routine, even though I'm not a routine person typically, but when I stay in that routine every morning of writing, then I'll leave myself open to the opportunity for that entity of creativity to go through me and use me as a vessel, rather than me forcing what I'm trying to say out onto the page. And then the other and final piece that I want to talk about is how you have to keep the door open even when it's quiet outside. So even when you sit and you have nothing, and then you start to have that despair because now it's been days, weeks, maybe months without feeling that inspiration, and you're sitting down every morning or whenever you choose to write, and you're doing the same thing every time, and it's just this quiet over and over and over. You cannot give up. Inspiration doesn't disappear forever. It just waits. And what's really interesting, and one of the things that they talked about on this podcast, is how one of the authors was talking about a situation where she had this inspiration for a story, and she tried to write it. She started writing it. She got a few chapters in, I think 4 chapters in, and then life got overwhelming and she ended up pausing. But when she went back to the project to continue writing months later, when her life started calming down again, it wasn't coming. And then she went to her friend, who was also a writer, and the friend was telling her of this new project that she started, and she's 4 chapters in, and it turned out it was the same project, and they hadn't talked about it before. And it's just wild. And so it really just cemented that thought that we are just a vessel for this entity of creativity to work through us, because these are not just ours. Our inspiration, so the concept that they're talking about is that this inspiration is its own thing, and it's looking for the best conduit to be able to bring this into our existence. Y'all, this is just crazy. I'm getting a lot of chills. I'm going to link this. I probably am going to link it in the beginning. I'm going to definitely put the link into the notes, but I'm going to link it here too for you. So if you want to go take a look at that episode, it blew my mind. And I just felt so ready to receive that message, because this is something I've been struggling with. I've been thinking about. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if this was normal, if this was a normal part of writing. Everyone told me it was, but then I'm like, okay, but is it normal to wait this long? And I was on such a good trajectory and writing every day, and my inspiration was coming every day. And then all of a sudden it just went quiet. And so I want to leave this with you. I'm just going to leave it there. I hope that if someone is experiencing the same thing, hopefully this message is going to get to you as well, where you can feel like, no, this is the moment. I need to continue to sit down, and I need to remember that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Writing a novel is a big endeavor that is going to be ups and downs, but you just have to make sure that you are that engine of inertia that's going to continue this story and continue telling this story in the best way that you can. So with that, I will leave you all on that note. So I hope you all have the most incredible Friday ever. I hope you find time to build a routine around whatever creative endeavor you're chasing after. I hope you get to have an incredible weekend spent with the people who mean the most to you in your life, whoever that might be. And with that, I'll see you all on Tuesday, where I read to you chapter 10, you guys. 10! We're almost halfway through. Ooh. I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everybody.